Hey guys, this is Colin Warren. Welcome to the first of hopefully many installments of a series I'm calling Tweak My Track, in which I take your guys' tracks and I make the tweaks. So this series idea kind of came about from a user whose track I'll actually be reviewing today by the name of The Real Cowbunga. Instagram down below as part of the perks for me carrying part of your track. He has been reaching out to me over Instagram, just like many producers. Send me a track, ask for my feedback. I give him their feedback in written form, and then he actually went back, tweaked it, and then asked me for more feedback. I figured instead of just doing written feedback, I would actually visually show in FL Studio what tweaks I would make for a given piece of feedback. Because I find for a lot of producers, there's one big disconnect between, oh, okay, you're saying my mid-range is really muddy. What exactly am I doing wrong to do with that? So I have a few tweaks here that I think are going to really help this track. I'm not going to go through all the tweaks. I'm not going to go about tweaking it because that would be an hour-long video, but I at least messed around with the track for about an hour beforehand, and I came up with about 4 or 5 things that I think will really help this track stand out. So we'll go ahead and jump into this right away. So the first tweak we have is the chords in the break are clashing with the melody. So if we take a listen, this is what this part sounds like. So it doesn't sound too bad to the initial listen, but let's say if we look at what these chords are playing here, E6, A5, and let's go to the pseudo guitar and let's look at your melody. Look, they're playing the exact same notes. One principle when I compose tracks and choose what to layer what is, let's say you had one instrument, usually a piano, and you had to instrument everything on that piano. It's probably not going to sound very good. Also not going to be really easy to play if you have the melody playing in the same part of the piano as what the chords are playing, because the guy's playing chords and trying to do melody. It's just not going to work out. If instead you have the chords kind of sitting in one area in terms of what notes you're playing, so let's say A4 through A5, and then you have your melody sitting at, let's say, B5 through A6, it's going to sound a lot cleaner because each thing has its own frequency range. So actually playing around with the chords here, that doesn't sound too bad. It sounds like they can still last here if I don't remove them, but I'm going to instead turn them down a bit. Just really opens things up a bit. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, everything here has reverb and delay on it, which is not a bad thing. The problem is because each of these things has its own reverb and delay on it, and they're all going to really clash. One thing I've noticed, especially when you're using presets starting out, is when sound designers make a preset, they tend to throw reverb and delay on it because in isolation, that will make the sound better. The problem is when you start mixing a bunch of these sounds together, if you have different reverbs and delays playing together, it's not going to sound great. The nice thing is you're using Serum for most of these, so that shouldn't be a huge problem, but Serum still has enough knobs you can tweak where you can have this problem come up. So we're going to actually go ahead and remove basically all the reverb and delays, and it's going to sound a lot cleaner. It's going to sound dry, but we're going to solve that by actually busing these things all to the same reverb. So let's see. We're just going to do this with the chords. I'm just going to do this with the chords right now because I only have so much time in this video. And the guitar. Oh, one other thing too. Your chords, using this instrument, guitar, using the same instrument. I actually went and checked. They are not playing the same notes. So this starts at E5, and I think your chords start at G5, which is great. It's perfectly fine. But for me, when I mix, I like to have everything mixed by like instrument section. So if I have chords, I have the chords here playing certain melodies and the leads playing certain melodies here, like you're doing here, I like to not have them on the same instrument rack. So I'm actually going to duplicate this, move this here, and even though it's still technically the same thing, it makes it a lot easier to mix. Oh, these melodies are all being played by this instrument, so I can turn that up and down, and then these chords are being played by this instrument, so I can turn this up and down. Anyways, let's go back to removing reverb from these elements so we can get a cleaner sound. All right, that guy's good. That's right, because I removed a reverb and then duplicated it. Reverb here. And I think these pads, yes, there's pads down here, which I don't know if people can see, that actually hid from me for a bit. Yeah, they have some reverb here. Cool. All right, so that's going to make things sound drier, but a lot cleaner. All right, so those are those tweaks here. Remove the reverb and delay. And now we'll actually go, I'm going to link these chords to one part of the mixer. Call these chords. Give it a nice color code. And then we'll go to the guitar, the pseudo guitar. I'll go here. Call this the guitar. So now I can actually listen to each element in isolation. Actually, this guy needs to go to the chords as well. And now we're going to go ahead and actually use one of these guys over here. And one other thing I actually noticed is that you don't see all the plugins have disappeared from the mixer. And actually, I spent, even after the 8 years I've worked out here, I've never actually had that problem. Looking up online, looks like if you hit Control-Enter, boom, those pop up. So anyways, back to what we were doing. I'm going to add a reverb here. Fruity reverb in this case, because it's what everybody has. I tend to like to use Valhalla reverb a lot, but the process is the same. I'll set a send, make it completely wet, no dry signal, because the dry signal is already being sent to the master. And now we can have them all being played by left clicking here in the same room, and it's going to sound a lot cleaner and more cohesive. So that already sounds cleaner to me. All right, next thing, we're going to go to the drop. I'm going to give you a couple tips on the drop, and then we'll call it that. Let's just listen to the drop really quick. All right, so it sounds really smashed. And the main culprit is this fruity limiter here, which I know when they teach you, all right, so on your master, you want to have a limiter, For whatever reason, I don't know why. Maybe somebody who's watched this video can give me a good sense of maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I've never had a clean sounding master using fruity limiter. I end up just turning it down. I usually use limiter just to see what the levels are at. I never actually use it as a limiting tool. Yeah, so actually, so as we're looking here, you're understand limiting it. What limiter I would use, if you have money, highly suggest using isotope ozone. 8 is what I use, but the 9's out right now. That's pretty great. If you can't use that, limiter 6, I forget who makes it. That one's a good free one. It's not as clean as isotope ozones from my ears, but I would rather use that over this one because it just does a terrible job limiting stuff, to be honest. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this down. Final thing, drop has too many elements. Let's go ahead and I'm just gonna solo these chords here and we're just gonna take a listen. Oh, actually one other thing too I noticed. Your kick start, here, bonus tip. I don't know why you're using this specific waveform for the kick. So at a high level view, if you're doing sidechaining for a kick and a bass, the reason why you do it is because the kick and the bass, they sit in the same area of the same frequency area, so you want to duck the bass whenever the kick comes through. That's the idea. What it looks like you're doing here, what Kickstart's going for, is this white spot when it's dipping tells you when the volume's dropping, and then this tells you when the volume's at its max. The way Kickstart works is that the kick tends to come in over here, and then the bass plays over here. So you actually want this waveform over here, or else it's just going to sound really wonky like it does right now. Let me just solo. See, by this, it sounds good, but then in context, it's all everywhere. So let's just play this with the kick for a second. Actually, let's see if I'll just, let's go to your drop chords. I'm going to solo this. Sounds not bad, but now if we played it with the kick, where's your kick at? There you go. Sidechain just sounds all off. So if we go the way we saw that, just go here, do this, boom. See, so now it's ducking down and the kick comes in here. It's much cleaner. You can do it with your quick chain. If you wanted to use this one, just slide it over. I personally like the sound of this one a little bit better though. Back to what we were originally doing, removing elements. These guys are a little too loud. I'm gonna turn these down a bit. And how I know they were too loud, I've listened to enough tracks to know that they sound too loud. I wish I had a better explanation for you. But yeah, you can kind of, one good sense is if you A and B tracks, like listen to a lot of reference tracks being, tracks that you really enjoy and you base a lot of your tracks around that you kind of look up to. Listen to how loud the chords are there or how loud certain frequencies are, then listen to how loud your frequencies are, and then you start to get a sense of, oh, mid-range is really loud compared to that track. What sounds do I have in my mid-range? Oh, my chords. I should probably turn that down. All right, so one thing I'm noticing actually when I turn these down is that every time I hit the play button, boom, that jumps up. That tells me you had this linked to a controller that was previously deleted, and now it's stuck to that preset position. So the way I get around it, because I've tried resetting the thing and it does not work, I'm gonna link both of these to their own separate channel. I think you have them linked here already. Yeah, actually, no, wait, you already have these linked to. I'll put breakdown chords just for my mental note, and then I'll just turn these down. And then these sound really compressed, so I'm actually going to disable one of them. And I find for sound goodizer, about half is good. All the way is way too compressed. And then let's start looking at the melody. All right, so these guys are way too... Same thing, too compressed. I would select either OTT and sound goodizer, both I find a little overkill. All right, and then there's some, because you have a bunch of layers. Let's go to the lead, or the drop leads. Yeah, you have a lot of layers. So I'm gonna go ahead and solo them, pick which ones sound the best to me, and we're just gonna stick with those. I find no more than maybe 3 or 4 layers for the top lead, especially if you're using presets, because most of the presets are already kind of full as it is. Just choosing ones that sound complementary. See, this bell sounds good. I like this bell. I'm going to remove that white noise because you actually have white noise down here already, and layering multiple white noises. I would say in the beginning, avoid it. I know recently in the track I just finished, I actually did 2 white noise kind of layers, but that's because I really know what I'm doing, and I had like, okay, this one sounds really good for this really specific frequency range, and that one. I would avoid that in the beginning, just have like 1 white noise later. But if you know what you're doing, you trust your ear, go for it. All right, this sounds good, but I'm gonna turn this down. We also have to listen to it in the context of the chords, so let's make sure to listen to those chords. I'm gonna have this turned down a lot more because the chords are kind of filling out that low area. And actually, I might just take a little bit of the high end because it's a bit buzzy. Yeah, actually, so I like this. I like this mid-range sound more than this one. I would just keep this one and remove these 2. That one's not adding too much. Oh wow, that is brighter. God, that white noise is so loud though. I'm gonna turn this down. We'll put the bass in. God, how did these keep getting offset? It's super annoying. All right, yeah, so we have this. Yeah, I think I want to take more. Yeah, super saws actually end up high passing or low passing, cutting off a lot of the high end, so the melody can really stick through. We'll put the clap. It seems to be missing some mid-range actually. So let's see these pads. I think these pads don't seem to be doing anything, so I'm going to remove those. Same with these ones. I'm not noticing a whole lot with these adding either. So that's the extent to which I'm going to tweak the track for today. So it's not going to sound, at least to my ears, doesn't still sound great, but it definitely sounds better. The main things, again, making sure that whatever notes that you're choosing, that they all have their own frequency range. So we actually turn down the melodies in the chords versus the chords, the melodies the chords are playing versus the actual, top melody itself. Making sure everything's busted to the same reverb and delay. That's actually one thing we could go do to the drop if we wanted to make that sound better, because everything sounds really washed out and not in the same unit. Using a different limiter other than Fruity limiter, it's gonna make it sound better. And then choosing just a few elements to do most of the work. So if we went in, you saw me, let's say go to the drop leads, we ended up removing a couple of these and then turning down some other ones. And then, of course, remembering in order to figure out, okay, what elements are too loud and too quiet, using reference tracks and then seeing, if you can't hear it, see what parts of the frequency range are too loud compared to the other, and then go to your actual project and see which instruments are more prominent in that frequency range and then turn those down. So hopefully that's been helpful, the real Kambanga, and any of those have been watching along just to see what you can learn from it. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe. I also have, if you guys are interested in learning how to make your own first track from scratch, I have courses you can check out down below for free and paid, that you can do that down there. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, be sure, post down below to see more from me. If you have a track you would like me to tweak and or review and comment on, feel free to post a comment down below and I will get in contact with you. And yeah, without further ado, this has been Colin Warren. Hope you guys have a nice day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.